This is day 444 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today we are doing Sin and Shin Aleph, Sif Yud Ches to Sif Chav Gimel. Of course, this is still the middle and continuation of Hilchos Hotzah, which we are going to be doing for quite some time. Yud Ches, Garcin B'Gemara. If you like to sponsor upcoming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, be greatly appreciated. Yud Ches, please contact me directly. Good ches. Garcina Bagamara. Mostly garni, somebody who takes out seeds. Perish Rashi, garni tamarim, seeds or pits of dates, in this case. In the tiyashlayim, to plant them. 2. Ima achila kamlo pi chazer, if to eat the amount which will fill a pig's mouth. Kamlo pi chazer, how much will fill a pig's mouth? Achas, 1 date pit. Imla sik kadei levasho beitza kala, if it's to cook, it's enough to cook a light egg. Like meaning a fig's worth of a light egg. Cheshbon, if it's to count, simon edus l'chol dinar, such as if you put 1 day pit for each dinar paid, l'chol dinar pashut, it's like a simple dinar. I'm not sure exactly what other kind of dinar there is. Stein, it's 2. That is from Rashi. But Rama Kosav Amotzigarnim im lachila chamisha. If somebody takes out the bits, if to eat them, it's 5. If it's to for fuel, and it's like wood. If it's for counting, 2. It's for planting, 2. Evidently, he had that girsa in the Gemara itself. The median wheat is 2. Because they are well loved. They are like the seeds, garden seeds which are not eaten. So perak tes, ayin sham. He said the Rambam does not bring this down. If I came to the Shas Nova, perhaps because the Mar Shas is not put down. Mistamas related the shiuran ki gross kichol ochlim. He will assume that the shear is the size of a fig, like any other foodstuff. But it's difficult to reject the Yerushalmi, since nobody argues with Tzarchim. Not clear. Yutes, Hamotzi Ezov. Somebody takes out a hyssop. Lochlin Kegrogeris. If it's to eat, it's the size of a fig. Lebehema, if it's animal, the size which would be fill the mouth of a goat, young goat. Late seam for wood, it seem like the same measure of wood. La Zoya, if it's to sprinkle paraduma water, which Ezov is used for. Kashir Hazoya, like the shear of sprinkling. Shemi's bar Mesechas para perakut base, and that is explained. Mesechas para kadesh yad bil rashi givolim. He has enough to dip the heads of the stalks and sprinkle iron sham. Vamotzi klipe gozim. Somebody takes out nut shells. Klipe gonim, pomegranate shells. Isti supua. These are plants for dye. Vagam klipe gozim, and also where it says the shells of nuts. Hakavana klipa iruka, it refers to the green shell. Shiba odo ala elon, in which it grows when it's still in the tree. Then it's boban, and eventually it's used for a dye. In order to it's bobahem bega katan piece in order to amount to dye a small garment, which is the mouth of the svacha, klomar, meaning shebarosh svacha. The top, or the tip, I should say, of the svacha, suikiklia, which is made like a basket. It's like a snood, and has laid like a basket. Notice in my beged, and you put a little bit of a garment. I guess it's an ornamentation. Usvachi mashmicha banos aroshayan. I guess it's a snood for unmarried girls. So it's more of a net, I guess, than which is see-through. So a person takes a urine, ben arboim yom, which is 40 days old, which makes it a detergent. Ones Alexandria, which is another type of detergent. Boris, which is another type of detergent. Okimunia, v'ashlak, other types of detergent. These are types of grasses and types of dirt which clean like soap. Enough to wash a small garment, which in this case is also pisvacha, the tip of that hairnet. So to all other types of cleansing products. If you took out dyes which are already soaked. So then, in other words, you have the actual manufactured dyes. Enough the garden. Enough to color a small sample of a twig of a weaver, which is a very small amount. And this is specifically where the salmonim are already fully mixed in order that they should be used to wash or dye. Because a person would not soak salmonim for just in order to make a sample, but rather here salmonim already made, and once they're already made, you would use them for a sample. Chaf dio, ink. Kidei lichtov shteyos is enough to write 2 letters. Ben shoti dio yovesh, whether it's dried ink. Ben shoti dio bekumus, whether you took out the ink in the pen. Ben shoti bekamarin shekrin tinar, if you took it out in the inkwell. About Ramam shokasa amoti dio ala kumus. If you took out ink on the quill, shura kidei lichtov ben shteyos, the measure is to write 2 letters. I will tell you dio if you have to take out the ink in and of itself. Or bekeses, or in inkwell, search by yeser alzeh. So it has to have more. So that the quill dipped into it will be able to write 2 letters. If in the inkwell there's enough to write 1 letter, and in the quill there's enough to write 1 letter, or in ink itself there is whatever ink you have, and whatever it is, there's enough to write os achas, os achas. Well, I guess the ink is already written. You have the ink already written. It was 1 letter, and in the kumus or the keses in the pen or in the inkwell, there was enough to write another letter. It's not clear if they join together or not. It's a question of the Gemara there. And this is true if it's 3 letters worth. 1 in the ink, 1 in the pen, 1 in the inkwell. It's also a suffix. But 2 letters on 2 pens, or 2 inkwells, they join together, and you're liable. How you might ask, anywhere being mostly the pen or the inkwell. The Yeshlomar, well, this we can answer. The Kem Sheish Bem Dio, since they have ink, right? They're subordinate to the ink. Such as when you take out a live person or animal in a bed, you're exempt also on the bed. Because the bed is subordinate to the person or the living creature. And even if whatever it contains is less than a shear, the shear only of 1 letter, still the inkwell or the pen is batel to the ink itself. We learned if you take out foodstuffs less than the proper shear in a vessel, you also exempt on the vessel. Because the vessel is subordinate to the food. If you took out 2 letters, I wrote them as you were walking, chayev, you're liable. Even though you might argue there's no hanacha here, the ksibas and zuya and yichosan. That was the writing is the hanacha. Manach shamanir, and the hanacha is on the placing down is on the paper. Choshkin mamar lanuach, it goes out saying that as he was writing, he stood to rest. The chayev, you're liable. The below ksiva, because then even you're not writing, the midas guva kamidas chayvetz. When your body stands, the object is standing still. Dami, it's similar. And therefore you're chayav. If you took out 1 letter, uksava, and wrote it, and in 1 period of forgetfulness, in words, without realizing what Shabbos of the Melachos is also, but what you forgot, os acher, you took out another letter, uksava, you wrote it, potter, you're exempt. Yeshikvar chasra also rishayna, because the first letter is already missing. How so? It's like you took a half a grogeres and put it down. So its malacha is over. It's no longer mitzdarif. It's out of the picture. Then we take out half of another half of the faith. Lo mitzdarfei. They're not doing it together. Shlotzi rak chatzi shir. Each time we did an active with so, which is a half a shir. Zog shebia rishon mikodem. That is when he picked up the first one first. Kloshi's bars we shall see. Or chsir ma'atmer rishon besorfo. Or you're missing a little bit of the first one and you burnt it. V'chinami kenu. So here too, when you write it down, so it's not what I said. I said it was wrong. I said it's not mitzvah because that malach is over, but that's not true because it's behelem achas. So achas, everything is going to be one extension. We're saying that when the letter is written down, the ink, some of the ink absorbs into the paper, and since that ink absorbs the paper, it's no longer considered to be a full shear. Maybe because it contracts, it's no longer going to be a full shear. In any event, what was initially one letter comes now less than one letter, and therefore, even if you take therefore, even if you take it there with a second letter, you'll have like 1.9 letters, not 2 letters, and therefore you're potter. Not because it's 2 separate otzos, because it's helen achas, but because one contracted before the other was taken out. Chavav hamotzi kechol. Somebody takes an ointment with which you rub on your eyes. It's enough to put the ointment on one eye. Because and this ointment evidently is not. It's more mascara, not an ointment for sickness. It's for cosmetics, and therefore it says men don't use eye cosmetics. Only women. But and women who are very modest, modest women who go wrapped up, and they only leave one eye peeking out. They only put this mascara on that eye. And therefore, in villages where the sneers is not so necessary, everybody knows everybody anyway, I guess. Perhaps not many people on the street. And women normally go with 2 eyes revealed. Meaning you need enough to apply it to 2 eyes. And it's true anywhere where people don't put mascara on 1 eye but always on 2 eyes. That's taken out for cosmetics. And we'll see a little for, but if you use an ointment for actual medical purposes, no matter what, you're chayiv with 1 eye because people will put the ointment only on the eye, which has a problem. Zeves begofris, if you take a pitch or tar, it's not naked cotton. It's not to make a small hole. Meaning the klisha nosimo kesev chai, a vessel which you put mercury. So same peeve, you close its mouth. Bezefes with this pitch or begafres or tar. V'noke b'toch hasatima, and you put inside the seal nekev dak, a thin hole kidei lo tzi bow, in order to move the mercury through that hole. That's the amount which you can have sealing and have hole in the middle. That is the shear. Shava kidei dena be nekev katan shayayin, wax to put in a small hole of wine, below shem l'vash, and not a hole of oil or honey. Shayayin zub there nekev katan yoser, because wine can flow out through a smaller hole, yishem l'vash, and oil and honey. Devek glue kidei litain a rosh hashafshaf, to put on the top of some sort of rubbing surface, which is at the top of the pole of the hunter, because you have to use the pole of the hunter. The hunter uses the pole to catch a bird. So there's like some sort of surface on top, which he puts the glue, and that is the amount of glue. And it explains here, Moshivin Neser Katan Brosh Koneh, put a small cross beam, very tiny one, on top of the beam, on top of the pole. Nesel of Devik, you put in a glue, over the Shevala, and the bird sits on it, and it stuck to it. So everything Shamar Bay, Evidently, it's a significant amount of glue to keep the bird stuck there. Uravav, this is well, we're going to see in a minute what it is. It's kind of oil. Shach tachas rakik should go low, to put underneath a pancake, which is the size of the coin, it's selak coin. Uravav perish Rashi, shuman o shemen. It's a fat or an oil. Kasha, b'shemen these bar shir acher b'sifyuk le'esuk ever cotton. That's simple because it said, but it's enough to anoint a small limb. Maybe it's one shear, the same. Or perhaps it's 2 types of oil. And they're not, that which is appropriate for cooking is not appropriate for anointing, which makes sense. Chav base, hamotzi adama. If you take out dirt, shira or kidei lasos chotem megeres, so clay in this case is enough to make a seal on a letter. Because of shemina adama aduma, it's a type of red dirt. Havastam adama vada eno kishir zeb. But regular dirt obviously does not have the shear, because you can't make a seal out of it. Then afar, then that's plain dirt is called afar. She's bar shul kidei chasos. Point we're going to see that the amount of dirt you're chayav is not used to cover the blood of the shechita of a bird. Teat, this is some sort of also pitch. It's pi kurshel tzarfei zav. Is to make an opening to the crucible of glassmiths. No, goldsmiths. I'm sorry, goldsmith. The zevel, fertilizer, or choldak, or thick sand. The zabel krisha, and enough to fertilize a krisha. Zel kaflutos. I forget what kaflutos are. Some sort of vegetable. I forget where it is. V'chol hagas, thick sand. They are arid in malo kavshas, enough to mix with a full plasterer's tool. In other words, enough to make enough plaster for the tool of the plasterer. Charasis v'levena kedusha, crushed brick. Kidei lasos bikursha sofei zav. It's in order to make the opening of the crucible of a goldsmith. V'chein tit hava kashira zeh, and pitch also is like this. Kamosha kasavnu, same shear. V'seyar, hair. Kidei legabel tit shel shir zeh. I guess they used to mix hair in, so this will make this type of cement of the shear. Seed, plastic, they suit etzba katana shabanos, in order to use as a depilatory on a small finger of the of a girl. She was slightly named a seed. They used to I guess put plaster in their faces to make sure sayer, to remove the hair. Miapos says mamazeh, and adorn themselves that way. I thought it usually meant to actually remove the hair from like the back of the pinky, but I think it's saying that it's like you put on in order to on the finger tip in order to apply to your face. Afar v'efer, dirt and ashes, enough to cover the blood of a small bird. Tzura v'evan, a stone or a rock, to throw at an animal, shetargish, that will feel its hit. Mishkal sort of zuzin, which is the weight of 10 zuz, cheretz ve'kabel revius, enough pottery, it's enough that can hold approximately 3 ounces of liquid. Chav gimel, hamotzi chevel, it's a rope. The shear is enough to make ozen kupa, to make a handle for a basket. It doesn't matter if it's a regular rope or an Egyptian rope, which is I think a more significant rope. The ozen, which literally means ear, is the chosbo. It's enough to hold onto it. Gemi, which is a kind of grass, which also has medicinal purposes. And he says here in the brackets, "Konev suf tirgim keni begama." So suf is kind of as a reed, and suf also I think is a more flexible reed of grass. Kidei sos flying up in order to make a patch for a sieve. Ulukavara, different type of sieve. Liklosam bow. Oh no, kli is not a patch here. It means something to hang it from. So it's like you put a little piece of this at the edge of the sieve in order to hang it. V'yesh stopping zel afilu b'gemi lach. The Chazim Achabem, it's not clear, it's talking about a soft gemi, which is the soft grass, which is still suitable for an animal to eat. Adaf Yabesh is talking about dry gemi. Uvlach shir kamop. And by moist gemi, the shear is the amount to fulfill a goat's mouth. Fruitin shalav a dekel, shoots of a palm trees. Kedesos ozen lasal kfi for mitzvahs, enough to make a handle for a basket, the Egyptian basket. Assuming it's dekel, which is made out of woven palm leaves. Sieve, the fiber, which grows around a palm tree. Came malbush, like a sheath on the tree. It's a mount of fiber that you put on top of a small spout. The science behind to not sift, what's the word? Filter wine. Mukin, this is like a piece of fabric. They're so spoke. Kadurka goes to make a ball the size of a nut. Etzem, bone. They're so tarvad in order to make a spoon. It's a small spoon which is used by doctors, and they know its measure. Schuchis, glass, in order to scrape that thing, to scrape the head of a darning needle, I think it's called, which is used for weaving. Again, a weaver's a piece of wood, which has a sharp point. Or enough that you can slice two fibers or strands at once.